Submitting your own art on FurVilla has got to be one of the neatest features this game has going on. I'm submitting some art and following the guidelines. Let's talk through it. The technical term for these user-submitted illustrations is a paintie. That still kind of weirds me out, and I'm a pro at mispronunciating things, so the discussion of submitting painties isn't something I was particularly looking forward to. But let's get into it. Longtime friend of the channel, Betheii, sent me a paintie with my Lion Lions coloration. With her permission, I edited it a bit and prepped it for submission for this video. Skip to after the submitting process to watch my editing process. There are a few restrictions for both the art and the file. The piece matched the base and species of the actual pet, so we didn't have to worry about that. The real guidelines I had to follow were making the canvas 400 pixels tall and saving the file as a PNG. Because the size is pretty small, I made sure that the pixel resolution was high. I used Adobe Photoshop to edit and export the file. If you guys have any hints or tips at getting better resolution or just overall a better method of exporting the file for like a crisper, nicer painty resolution, definitely comment below. Let me know. I'm interested in that information, and I don't think this is the only paintie I'm going to submit, so I will use that information as well. After uploading the file, an admin will review and then either approve or disapprove your paintie. Now let's get into the fun part where I do a little editing, just to show you guys, to incentivize watching this, the after process. Here's what it looks like, the illustration, when I'm done. So you're gonna see some outlining, just a little bit of outlining, a little bit of shading, and some contrast went on there. I didn't really want to do that much. I think that Betheii started, that Betheii gave me something great to work with. Very appreciative that she did this for me. It's very sweet of her. She's always been such a dear about fan art. I love fan art. You can see some of hers on her YouTube channel. What I mainly did was I cleaned up some of the lines. I realized that I didn't want to clean up everything just because it would have taken quite a bit of time, and I only wanted to work on these edits for about an hour. I just had a few little edits I wanted to change, more like stylistic than anything else. On the thumbnail of this video, I actually did a different type of edit where I overlaid the original art on the piece, and it kind of looks pretty cool because it has the shading superimposed of the original paintie illustration, which I think is just super neat. So if I have to resubmit this, I might do like a little bit more advanced techniques. Like, who knows, maybe I'll spend an additional hour working on it. I couldn't really decide how I wanted to spruce this up, so you get to see a few different tactics and techniques. I knew I wanted to do a little bit of outlining, and I wanted to do that outlining like bright and vibrant and obvious, but I also tried to do it just freehand, which is a toothache. I really don't recommend doing that much freehand, even if you do have a sensitive stylist that you're working with. I use my Wacom Bamboo Fun. What I end up doing is actually swapping out to the pen tool, and the pen tool is seriously bae. I regret every part of my life before I started developing my discipline with a pen tool. Like, honestly, there's like a good solid decade of digital art before I learned how to use the pen tool, and every single minute of that decade was a mistake. Whenever I would accidentally trigger the pen tool when I originally got into digital art, I would like freak out because I wasn't quite sure how to make those mistakes go away. But after I started using the pen tool for like doing InDesign stuff, I learned that it's actually super powerful and incredibly good to work with, especially when you're doing anything with line art. So when I got down to the main, under the main here, that's when I whip out the pen tool. Like, of course, there's more I could have done, but life is about doing what's in front of you, and I wasn't gonna reinvent the wheel. I did this little test section, I liked how it looked, and I decided to keep going after I adjusted the size. Photoshop is so overkill. I love Photoshop really hard. If you don't have Photoshop, don't worry, you don't need to have Photoshop. There are plenty of other image editors out there that pack the punch for your money. You know, there's like SAI Paint tool. You know, I think that even the old Microsoft Paint is fancy enough for the kids these days. If you don't have access to a version of Photoshop, it's super easy to crack an older version. Not saying that you should pirate technology, I'm just saying it's absurdly easy to pirate technology. I definitely used Photoshop for a very long time before I legally owned it. That's part of Photoshop's competitive edge, is that it's so easy to pirate. But that being said, I'm an adult. I make money from what I do with Photoshop, so I definitely pay for Photoshop. I pay for the entire Adobe Creative Cloud, and it's the one purchase each year that I'm confident about each time it clears. Like, I'm never going to not want to have the Adobe Creative Cloud. I'm a huge fan of how this outlining actually turned out. The only thing is I wish I could have done a little bit more. Like I said, if they disapprove the Paintie, then maybe I'll do like a little bit more of sprucing, just like an hour's worth. I don't want to spend forever on it. But otherwise, I'm pretty pleased with what I did. The biggest changes were to a little bit of shading, and I did some stuff to the face. Like I did some stuff with the eyeballs. And I knew that I kind of wanted to do this going into this edit. I wanted to do some kind of weird thing with the pupil, but I wasn't quite sure what. While I was doing this, I was watching something, so there's a little bit of a lag on using my tools or like waiting for something to show up. These eyebrows were one of the very few things that I was like, okay, I'm just gonna adjust a little bit. I just give them little dots, you know, just little triangles, because those are cute and everybody likes those. If it gets disapproved, I'll go back and do a little bit more editing. Also wanted to give our buddy, I think the FurVilla guy's name is Loredo. I wanted to give Loredo some luscious eyelashes. That's another thing I'll go back and edit if it's disapproved. I have no reason to believe that this Paintie is going to be disapproved, but if it is, I've got a plan B. I wanted to give the eyeballs these upside down crosses. It's been on my mind. I've been, asking myself what I'm going to do for my next Paintie, and this is just an idea that got stuck up in my noggin, where these little upside down crosses, not exactly a goat's eye, which is like their pupil is like a horizontal bar. I decided I wanted to do a straight up cross on the eye, just because it's metal and I'm pretty metal. The big thing I messed up with on this illustration is down here in the legs, because I go through and I delete it so that these scratchy lines shouldn't actually be in the final product, but I guess I must have undoed or stepped backwarded too many times, or perhaps my eraser just wasn't full opacity And so now we've got these scritchy, scratchy lines in the final piece. And that's just no bueno. That's something that I possibly will go in and fix. The final thing that I did that I really stand behind is the shading I did for this piece. I'm pretty pleased actually with the quality of shading that I did. I watch a lot of artists on the internet, and so I'm just gonna credit them with anything I've learned over the last few years. And so this style of shading is not my own. It's something I inherited from the internet. Here's a comparison of what I started with. This is the beautiful art provided by Betheii. And then we're just gonna gradually look at what the final piece looks like. As you can see, I didn't change a whole lot of things, but it's a little bit different, and I hope you guys liked this. I'm still playing FurVilla. I think it's a really cute game. I'm hopeful for the future of it. I'm interested in what's going to happen and how it's going to further develop. I log in pretty regularly. It's not my main haunt, it's far from it, but I hope that you guys are enjoying it. You guys can always hit me up on FurVilla. I'm up for painties. If you have a paintie shop, hit me up with a link to that, because who knows, I might be interested in commissioning some art sometime soon. Thanks all so much for watching. Like and subscribe.